You're about to listen to a brand new Just One Thing with me, Michael Mosley. New episodes will be released on Wednesdays, but if you're in the UK, you can listen to new episodes a week early, first on BBC Sounds. We would all like some quick and simple ways to improve our health, but we're inundated with often conflicting advice. So, if you were going to try just one thing to improve your mental and physical well-being, what should it be? Maybe a cup of tea to help your heart health, or listening to music to open up your blood vessels. How about a walk on a rainy day to improve your immune system? I'm Dr. Michael Mosley, and this is Just One Thing, where each episode we'll explore one thing you can start doing today to improve your health or life in ways you might not expect. It's mid-afternoon and I'm about to have a break. I'm juggling a lot of work at the moment and this can be really stressful. So I'm about to do just one very British thing that's not only a great stress buster, but could also lower my risk of heart disease and help me live a longer, healthier life. I'm having a cup of tea. Here in the UK, we drink millions of cups of tea every single day of the year. And most Brits would probably say a cup of tea is a great way to relax. Now, you might think this is simply down to a ritual. You stop work, you put the kettle on, perhaps have a chat. But new research shows there are things in tea itself that really can lower your stress levels. Not only that, but studies show that drinking tea could also improve your memory and reduce your risk of bone fractures. So, if you're not already a tea aficionado, why not put the kettle on? I'll be speaking to Kit, who is a prop and costume maker from Brighton, to see if drinking tea is just one thing she'd like to try. So Kit, what do you reach for first thing in the morning?
I do try and have a glass of water first thing, but then straight after that I would go in with a strong coffee.
What about the middle of the afternoon, 4 o'clock, tea time? What are you drinking then?
Well, if it's a nice day, I often might treat myself to a kind of pop from the shop. Or if it's wintry, I might get a hot chocolate.
Okay, fair enough. I think it's, sacrilegious. You should be drinking tea, but maybe I can persuade you. Is it you don't like tea or you've just kind of given up drinking the stuff?
I do like tea and I have, a soft spot for it coming from Yorkshire. But I guess just in my own life, it's not something I've built in.
No, fair enough. So we're going to try and help you re-establish the habit. Because I do think there are benefits to tea which go beyond simply, it's a nice warm drink to have. There are active compounds in tea which have been shown to give your brain a boost, improve concentration and also help with relaxation. Coffee drinking, great stimulant, perk you up. A cup of tea has a different impact, so I'd be really interested to see how you get on. My challenge to you is that I want you to drink a couple of cups of tea a day. Just ordinary tea, with or without milk, however you like it. How does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds great. My mum always had my dad bring a cup of tea to my mum in bed, and I've always really liked this sort of decadence of that she wouldn't get up before a cup of tea, but I've never managed to sort of slot that into my setup, so yeah, that's great.
I'm trying to turn Kit into a teaist, someone who loves tea, and I'm hoping she will make it part of her regular routine. We'll see how she gets on later this week. Our beloved tea comes from Camellia sinensis, an evergreen shrub native to East Asia. Interestingly, green tea comes from the same plant, but is processed differently. Tea leaves are packed full of polyphenols that have multiple health benefits. And you can find more about polyphenols in our episodes on apples and red wine on BBC Sounds. Those polyphenols might explain why drinking tea is also good for your bones. One study followed over 1,000 elderly women for more than 10 years. It turned out that those who drank 3 or more cups of tea a day were 30% less likely to suffer from a fracture due to osteoporosis, a thinning of the bones, compared to those who drank 1 cup of tea or less per week. I am particularly interested in this as I have a family history of osteoporosis. As well as polyphenols, there's another important compound in black tea, L-theanine. It's a bioactive amino acid which seems to make tea particularly good for relieving stress. In tests, volunteers produce less of the stress hormone cortisol and reported feeling more relaxed after having a drink containing L-theanine compared to a drink which didn't. But that's not the only advantage to the L-theanine in tea. It can also give your brain a boost. A recent study has shown that it can improve memory and reaction time when consumed with caffeine, which is, of course, also present in tea. And by conducting brain scans, researchers think they may have discovered what's going on. L-theanine seems to increase the activity of alpha brainwaves, which are associated with being calm and alert. And it's thought that when your brain is operating at the alpha frequency, you're better able to absorb new information and are more creative. Not only that, drinking tea may even increase your lifespan. A study of nearly 500,000 people in the UK found that those who drank 2 or more cups a day had a significantly lower risk of dying over the course of the 11-year study than non-tea drinkers. Why? Well, the benefits of tea seemed to be most pronounced when it came to stroke and heart disease. And this positive effect remained even when people added milk or sugar to their tea. So, what's going on? I'll be talking to a tea expert in a moment. But first, let's see how Kit is doing.
I'm now 3 days into the challenge and I'm getting the hang of it. I'm managing to drink the tea. First of all, I found that I was making tea and leaving it all over the place. So I've now managed to find parts of my day where I can have a cup of tea, sit down and enjoy it and finish it. Already it's starting to be something I can see can fit into my life, and taking time to actually relax while I'm drinking it has been a major change. I think knowing that there's something in tea that could potentially relax you and keep you alert at the same time is a positive thing.
We'll catch up with Kit again at the end of the week and see if she's enjoying her brews enough to make tea drinking just one thing she'll keep up. Now, let's speak to Professor Andrew Steptoe, an expert on the benefits of tea at University College London. Hello there.
Hello there, hi.
I've got a big mug of tea in my hand here, and I'm really interested in your studies into tea and stress. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yes, of course. I've worked for many years in the area of stress, and particularly lifestyle factors that might help reduce stress responses and reduce health risk. And there's been a long history of the idea that tea may be beneficial. It's important to divide out the impact of tea from the kind of context in which people take tea. Often people have a cup of tea maybe after they've had a difficult day and they sit down and relax. And it could be that it's those aspects of the experience rather than the tea itself that's important. So we did a double-blind placebo-controlled trial with 2 beverages. One of them had all the critical biological ingredients of tea and the other didn't. So we randomized these volunteers and they drank 4 cups of this beverage a day for 6 weeks. And then we brought them into the laboratory to look at stress responses in an objective way. We measure their blood pressure, we measure their stress hormones such as cortisol, and we also take blood samples. And then we give people kind of nasty things to do to stress them. One example we use is we ask people to give an impromptu speech, and that does indeed stress people quite a bit.
Okay, how interesting. So this really is objective. It isn't just people ticking a box and going, am I stressed today or not?
Absolutely not.
Right, and what did you find?
What we found is that in both groups, the biological responses and, of course, the subjective responses increased during the stress tasks. But what was particularly interesting is that following these challenges, the tea seemed to be related to a more rapid post-stress adaptation and recovery.
Did you find anything in the tea that seemed to be doing this?
Well, it's difficult because tea is a very complicated product. It has more than 200 bioactive components and it's quite difficult to work it out. But one bit was a substance called theanine, which is part of tea. Theanine has a great affinity for receptors for a neurotransmitter called gamma-aminobutyric acid, GABA, which is a relaxation or sort of non-excitatory pathway. And so it may be that it's linking into that pathway in the brain and reducing the stress response.
So as I understand it, what you're saying is that by drinking tea, you are increasing levels of GABA, and this is potentially decreasing anxiety.
Yes, that's right. GABA seems to be a neurotransmitter which is associated with down-regulation of stress processes, increase in relaxation. It seems to be involved with sleep. And so what may be happening is that tea is contributing to that increase in GABA levels.
So I believe you've conducted a study looking at tea and heart health. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, certainly. There's evidence from population studies that people who drink tea may be at lower risk for cardiovascular disease and for coronary heart disease, and we were interested in the mechanisms which might underlie that. And we honed in on two aspects of this. One is inflammation, which is a general process within the body that may increase risk for heart disease. And the other is the role of platelets. Platelets are very small cells which circulate through the bloodstream, are involved with wound healing and with stopping bleeding, but they can clump together in a way which may increase risk for heart disease. So what we did was to measure these processes, both the clumping of the cells and the inflammation, before and after 6 weeks of using our tea and placebo substances. And we found lower levels of platelet activation and lower levels of inflammation in the tea condition compared with the placebo condition.
Now, one of the obvious questions is, when you add milk or you add sugar, does that dilute or remove some of the beneficial effects of drinking tea?
Well, people drink tea in many different ways, of course, and probably more important actually is how strong they have the tea. I mean, some people just kind of, wave the tea bag at the water and they consider that tea, and others let it steep for many minutes. And if you think about this in a sort of biological sense, then you've got to have enough time for these bioactive components to operate. I haven't seen any evidence directly that having milk is going to change these patterns.
OK, so builder's tea.
I think builder's tea sounds good.